This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Russ, a pleasure.
Thank you. Yes,
to
sir.
have you here today. A brilliant fight that we've got on Saturday night between Derek Chisora and Joe Joyce. Obviously, cornered the man, Derek Chisora, before.
Yep.
A staple of British boxing of the last decade, not just a fighter but a character. Tell us about some of your good times with Del Boy.
Listen, I think, and I've been saying this in interviews I've been doing, I think Derek, young fighters should look at Derek as an example, in that it doesn't matter if you win or lose a fight to stay relevant in this professional game of boxing. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you fight, how you come out of a fight, whether it's win or lose, that's going to put you back on being top of the bill, you know, and prolong your career and keep you in the big money paydays. Derek has always come out and fought hard, done the work, you know, everybody has gone life and death with him in tough fights, and that's why he keeps coming back. And if you plan on being a player in the heavyweight division, you're going to have to get by Derek Chisora. And I think young fighters should stop worrying about their and who they don't want to fight and protecting their virgin record instead of going out there taking the chances it needs takes, because even if you lose, you could be right back on top of the bill in your next fight. And a perfect example of that is recently the fight between Teofimo Lopez and Steve Claggett. Claggett lost to Lopez, who we know how gifted and how talented Teofimo Lopez is. But do you realize that no matter what promoter puts on a next fight and submits the name of Steve Claggett as a potential opponent for somebody, any streaming site, any television is going to grab it and stay right on him, because Steve Claggett brings entertainment and brings value for the fans, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's an exceptional ability, being able to lose, I think, 13 times Derek Chisora. Gabe
It's crazy.
Rosado, another example.
Yeah, that's right.
Losses
Very
don't
good.
define you.
Yeah.
It is an exceptional ability. I want to know a little bit of what Derek's like in the corner. Of course, we get some microphone and camera footage a little bit in between fights. But when you're in the corner with Derek Chisora, what sort of stuff are you getting?
You know, I've only been in once previously, and that was in the first Parker fight. And I thought that both Buddy and I gelled really well in that corner together, because we were able to get stuff out of Derek that we didn't think we'd be able to get. And a lot of people thought Derek won that fight. And in the corner, it was about coaxing him on, making sure he could go, you know, giving him the belief that he could win the fight, you know, and he knew he was that close. And I thought it made for a very, very exciting fight. And when you think about it, look at what Parker's doing now. Look at what Parker's doing now. So what Chisora did with him in that first fight speaks volumes, in my opinion. So, but working with Chisora in the ring, I mean, he fights so hard. Sometimes it's painful because he fights so hard. You know, even when I've been against him, you know, and I've been against him with Malik Scott, I've been against him with Usyk, and you know, he fights so hard. You know, he gives everything he has. But outside the ring, as far as I'm concerned, and what he's dealt, you know, with me, he's been nothing but a gentleman and a class act. So I'm proud to be in his corner.
Yeah. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Around the Joe Parker fight, I feel like we spoke, and on the Friday night you was at York Hall for Mick Conlon.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember, because I remember speaking then. Just a little word on the UK, what the UK means to you, what the UK fight fans mean to you, because obviously biased, I'm a London boy, but not just the O2. The UK is a special place for the fight scene.
Well, let me tell you how important it is. I mean, I don't know if you consider this part of it, but when I leave here, I'm going to Belfast for a fight as well, and I love being in Belfast also. Just to show you how much it means to be here, I could have had the opportunity of staying here at the O2 for the whole week while I was here, but instead I chose to stay at Wembley because I have friends at Wembley, and so we were able to go out and play snooker, which is wonderful. So I got to do that, and I had to sacrifice the hour train ride to get here, but well worth it. So I love being here. It's been years I've been here. It is virtually second home, and when I come here, I don't feel like I'm out of place. I know where I'm going. I feel just like one of the guys. I know everybody here in the boxing game, so it feels just like I'm at home, and that's why I keep coming back.
You're an honorary Brit. That's what I'm going to call you.
Yeah, that's good. Honorary Brit. I'll take that.
Honorary Brit.
Okay, I'll take that.
On to the actual fight on Saturday night. They're going to head it up just in the ring over there. Something Del was very interested in yesterday was the PTSD, he called it, of the Zhilei Zhang fight for Joe Joyce. Joe's not going to ignore the loss. It happened. He knows that. Is it a bad thing to have PTSD if you're learning from a fight?
Look, everybody reacts.
Sit front and center of the mind, I guess.
Everybody reacts differently to a loss, you know, and that's why I said somebody like Chisora, it didn't matter that he loses. He comes back and he forgets about it. And there's other guys that stays with him. I think Wilder is a classic example of somebody where that has stayed with him. Once he lost that aura of invincibility, it was very hard to get that back. I think Joe Joyce is going to have to put in his mind more, not what happened in the last fight, but what he's going to be up against against in this fight and go through those rough waters, you know, go through that, because it's not going to be easy. I cannot see it possible. Nobody has, and I don't know that Joe Joyce will be the first to do it, with all due respect to Joe, to have an easy time with Chisora. I just don't see that happening. Even if you win every round, it's a tough fight, you know, so he's got to be able to withstand that. So I don't think the Zhang fight is as important now as what's going to be in front of him with Derek Chisora.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, I cannot wait for that first bell to ring. In the first 60 seconds, I just don't know what we're going to get, but it's going to be violence.
What's great is that it's British boxing, a lot like what Canadian boxing was when I first started in the game. This local rivalry, there's nothing bigger than that. And I remember back in the day when I first started, being a champion in Canada and fighting a local guy for a title in front of 20,000 people was bigger than fighting for a world title. It was more important, and that's what this feels like. Yeah, it's something, because it's something that king of your domain, you know, for the world that's here. This is the world for these two guys, you know, and Joe Joyce and Chisora want to be king of Britain, and that's as important to them as being world champion.
Yeah, you talk about no one having an easy time against Derek Chisora. Even Oleksandr Usyk has gone on record and saying he didn't have an easy time. Yeah. Did you see the interview with another outlet? I can't rack my brains to say what outlet, where he described who was the fastest opponent, who was the best opponent.
I didn't see it, but I was told, yes. And Chisora came up as the hardest puncher, right? Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That says it all. Just on Oleksandr Usyk, obviously, all guns heading towards the rematch. There was some news about Tyson Fury that he will be keeping the same corner for December the 21st. That includes the voice of his father, John Fury. There was a little bit of criticism post-fight. Just your kind of take on if Fury is to keep the same corner for
I think he has to, because I think if he would have succumbed to the peer pressure and public pressure of changing it, everybody would have looked like he panicked. So he obviously has to keep that. But let's just see if they react the same way. With that said, I didn't notice that on the night in the fight, because we're concentrating on our guy. You didn't notice what's going on in the other corner. It was only afterwards that we saw this. But we'll see the changes that are made, and we'll see if Sugar Hill gets the call, and he's the voice in the corner, and with Andy Lee, and we'll see how they'll do that. But I don't think there was reason in terms of personnel or expertise or knowledge to say you had to get rid of anybody from that corner. I think it was just a case of organizing it, and I think that was more important than anything else, because in that corner is a lot of very knowledgeable people. Both Sugar and Andy, to me, are, you know, two great boxing minds.
Yeah. If Oleksandr Usyk had retired prior to the first Fury fight, you're still looking at someone who would be remembered as a great. But just in the aftermath, after that victory, I think that cemented him in like a god tier of all-time fighters. Is he really appreciated enough, Oleksandr Usyk?
Probably not.
Is he one that you'll appreciate more once he's gone, do you think?
Maybe. I think the one thing where people might not appreciate fully is not only in his talent as a fighter, but in the person he is as a man. And I mean, boxing needs more of this kind of a guy. You know, I think Usyk is just a pure human being with the same kind of a charisma, you know, as some of the all-time greats that you can think of. And when people are around him, the ones that are around him, they feel that instantly from him. And I think, you know, although his English is massively improved and he's still even funny in English, you know, if he had more mastery of the language, it would be even great and more people would be able to connect to him. But I think if you ever had a chance to meet Usyk, if you've been around him, and I remember when I brought Malik Scott in to work with him for the Michael Hunter fight, you know, right, and Usyk didn't speak any English. That instantly there was this aura about the guy, and Malik picked up on it right away and connected with it right away. There was something just extremely special about this guy, and boxing's going to miss him when he's gone. And for me, it's been such an honor to work with him. And like I said, after the fight against Fury, you know, all my life I've dreamed about working in boxing and being in boxing. And then the first fight that got me into it was Ali Fraser. You know, the first fight. I'm 10 years old, and I thought, wow. We just fought and won the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world 50 years after I fell in love with boxing, and here I am fighting for the same title. My career is downhill from here on in, you know, like how do you top that?
You top it by winning again on
that's right, yeah, that's right.
Just a quick one. I mentioned the word underappreciated. I feel like that might seem a bit foolish, but I feel like the achievements are so great and almost become expected because of how good Oleksandr is that we might be able to brush him aside. But just such a brilliant fighter, going again for glory on December the 21st. I know you're going to tell me he's going to win the rematch, but does it play out the same as the first fight?
I mean, it could play out differently. I think for both guys, I think it could play out differently because both are going to have to make adjustments. Both are going to feel that they should have, could have, would have done this, you know. So
Dangerous
I think
words, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, that's right. That's so, you know, some things are going to change. I'd like to think the result will not change for my guy, but I think that, you know, Oleksandr Usyk has proven that, you know, although size is a factor in boxing, a skill always will overtake size, and I think that's been proven time and time again in the history of boxing, and there's nothing that beats the sweet science.
Well, apparently it was an easy fight, according to Mr. Fury.
That was according to him. You know, he was supposed to smash the rabbit, you know. Listen, what was said and all the disparaging remarks, I mean, had to be played out over 12 rounds. And over 12 rounds, the skill and class of Oleksandr Usyk prevailed, and I think it will again.